that. So we wanted to break it down and try and work out how could we add something that was going to create action, create positivity.
Something big is quietly changing inside the royal family. Prince William is stepping forward, making bold decisions about who stays close and who steps back. Rumors are spreading that Camilla's family has been pushed aside, and the palace feels tense. But what is really going on behind those doors, and who is truly in control? Join us to find out. Power shift inside the palace. The moment felt sudden, almost like something had quietly shifted behind the palace doors without the world fully noticing at first. News began to spread that Prince William was stepping forward with a stronger voice in royal matters, especially when it came to who should be seen at important public events and who should stay away. It was not loud or dramatic on the surface, but the meaning behind it carried weight. People started to sense that things inside the royal family were changing, and that William was no longer just preparing for the future, he was beginning to shape it now. This growing influence did not come out of nowhere. Over time, William has shown that he cares deeply about how the royal family is viewed by the public. He understands that every appearance, every photo, and every decision can affect trust. So, instead of following old patterns without question, he has been more careful and more selective. Reports suggest that he has taken a firmer position on keeping certain individuals away from major events, especially those whose presence might bring back past controversies. This careful approach has made some people feel that he is quietly taking control, even while his father remains king. As these decisions became more noticeable, online headlines began to exaggerate the situation. Some claimed that certain members of Queen Camilla's family had been pushed out or completely cut off. The idea of exile made the story sound dramatic and intense, like something out of a movie. But when you look closely, the truth is much calmer and more thoughtful. There is no solid proof that anyone from Camilla's side has been officially removed or banished. Instead, what seems to be happening is a careful effort to protect the image of the monarchy by limiting who appears in the spotlight. Still, the way things are unfolding has created tension that people can feel, even from the outside. It is not open conflict, but more like quiet differences in opinion. On one side, there is King Charles, who has his own way of handling family matters, often shaped by tradition and long-standing relationships. On the other side, there is William, who is thinking about the future and how the monarchy must adapt to survive in a world where public opinion can change quickly. This difference in thinking does not mean they are against each other, but it does show that the direction of the royal family is slowly evolving. At the heart of all this is a deeper issue that has been affecting the royal family for years. Certain past scandals, especially those connected to Prince Andrew, have left a lasting mark. These events force the family to rethink how they present themselves to the world. Some members have already stepped back from public duties, and others have been seen less often at major gatherings. These changes are not random. They are part of a larger effort to rebuild trust and keep the focus on those who can represent the monarchy in a positive way. William's role in this process has become more visible. He appears to be more direct in his choices, showing less willingness to include anyone who might bring unwanted attention. This has led many to believe that he is setting new rules, even if they are not officially announced. His actions suggest that he wants a smaller, stronger, and more respected royal circle. It is not about pushing people out for personal reasons, but about making sure the monarchy stays relevant and respected in modern times.
But there's also points where you look at tradition and go, is that still fit for purpose today? Is that still the right thing to do? Are we still doing?
Even so, the situation has been easy for people to misunderstand. When certain family members are absent from events, it can quickly turn into rumors of conflict or punishment. Social media, in particular, has played a big role in spreading these ideas, often turning small details into big stories. This is how the idea of exile began to grow, even without real evidence to support it. The truth is more about quiet decisions and careful planning than dramatic fallouts. Meanwhile, Queen Camilla continues to stand firmly beside the king, carrying out her duties without interruption. There has been no confirmed change in her role or position. She remains active and present, showing that the core of the monarchy is still stable, even if adjustments are happening around it. This contrast between steady leadership and quiet change is what makes the situation so interesting. On the surface, everything looks calm, but underneath, important choices are being made. What makes this moment even more powerful is the feeling that something bigger is coming. William's actions today may be giving a glimpse of what the monarchy will look like in the future. His focus on image, trust, and careful selection could shape a new era that feels very different from the past. People are starting to watch more closely, trying to understand what these changes really mean. And just when it seems like the story is becoming clear, one big question remains. If no one has truly been exiled, then why are certain names suddenly missing from important royal moments? And what does that reveal about the real decisions being made behind closed doors? Stay with us to find out. Who was actually excluded? Especially during important occasions like Easter services, some familiar faces were missing. This immediately caught public attention because royal events are often seen as a full family display, where unity is shown through presence. When certain members did not attend, it created space for speculation. People began to connect the dots in their own way, wondering if these absences were signs of deeper issues within the family. However, when reports were carefully reviewed, it became clear that these decisions were not about punishment, but about careful planning. Some of those who were absent have been linked, directly or indirectly, to past controversies that affected the royal family's reputation. Over time, these situations have made it necessary for the monarchy to rethink how it presents itself to the world. The goal seems to be simple: avoid drawing attention to anything that could reopen old wounds or create fresh criticism. So instead of making bold and public moves, the family appears to be handling things quietly, allowing certain individuals to step back without turning it into a major event. This approach can easily be misunderstood. When people see someone missing from an important gathering, it is natural to assume something negative has happened. It can feel like exclusion or even rejection. But in reality, it often comes down to timing, choice, and careful consideration. In some cases, individuals may choose not to attend to avoid bringing unwanted attention. In other cases, there may be gentle guidance from within the palace, suggesting that it is better to stay out of the spotlight for a while. These decisions are rarely explained in detail, which is why they leave so much room for guessing. The idea that Queen Camilla's family has been specifically targeted does not hold up when the facts are examined closely. There has been no reliable report confirming that her relatives have been banned or pushed out. In fact, most of the attention around absence and reduced appearances has focused on other parts of the royal family, especially those connected to long-standing public issues. This shows that the situation is broader than any one person or family branch. It is part of a larger effort to reshape how the monarchy is seen. At the center of this careful reshaping is the growing awareness that public trust is fragile. The royal family, more than ever, is under constant observation. Every appearance is analyzed, every absence questioned. In such an environment, even a small decision can have a big impact. This is why the approach being taken now feels so controlled. It is not about sudden or harsh actions, but about steady and thoughtful choices that guide the public image in a certain direction. Prince William's influence becomes more noticeable in this context. While he does not make public declarations about these decisions, his preferences seem to be reflected in how events are organized. There is a clear effort to keep the focus on senior working royals who carry out official duties and maintain a positive public presence. This naturally means that others, especially those who have faced challenges in the past, appear less often. It is not a loud removal, but a quiet shift in visibility. This kind of change is not new in royal history, but what makes it different now is how quickly the public reacts. In the past, such adjustments might have gone unnoticed or been accepted without much question. However, every detail is shared and discussed widely, especially online. A single absence can turn into a trending topic within hours. This fast-moving environment adds pressure on the royal family to be even more careful, knowing that every decision will be closely watched. Another important point to understand is that not all absences are forced.
So we wanted to break it down and try and work out how could we add something that was going to create action, create positivity.
Some members of the royal family have stepped back from public life by their own choice. Whether for personal reasons or to avoid ongoing scrutiny, these decisions contribute to the overall picture. When combined with the palace's efforts to manage its image, it can create the impression of a larger plan, even when each situation has its own explanation. The emotional side of this story also plays a big role in how it is perceived. People are naturally drawn to stories of conflict, especially within families. The idea of someone being pushed out or treated unfairly can be powerful and easy to believe. It adds drama and keeps people engaged. But when the facts are carefully considered, the situation appears more balanced and less extreme. It is not a story of exile, but one of adjustment and control. Queen Camilla's position remains steady throughout all of this. She continues to attend events, support the king, and carry out her responsibilities without interruption. This stability is important because it shows that the core leadership of the monarchy is still intact. While changes are happening around the edges, the center remains firm. This balance between continuity and change is what allows the royal family to move forward without creating unnecessary shock. As the situation continues to unfold, it becomes clearer that what people are witnessing is not a sudden break, but a slow transformation. The royal family is adapting to modern expectations, finding ways to protect its image while maintaining its traditions. This process is not always easy, and it can create moments of tension or misunderstanding. But it is also a sign that the monarchy is trying to stay relevant in a world that is constantly changing. And just when it seems like the truth has settled the rumors, another question begins to rise. If these absences are simply part of a careful strategy, then who is really making the final decisions? And how much influence does William truly have behind the scenes? Keep watching to find out. William's hardline approach to royal image. William's hardline approach to royal image. While there has been no official statement declaring any major shift in authority, his actions and preferences have started to speak louder than words. Observers have noticed a pattern in how events are planned and who is included, and many believe this reflects William's growing influence within the royal structure. William appears to be guided by a simple but firm idea: the monarchy must protect its image at all costs. In today's world, where news travels fast and opinions form quickly, even a small mistake can turn into a lasting problem. Because of this, he seems less willing to take risks when it comes to public appearances. He is believed to favor a tighter group of working royals, individuals who are actively involved in duties and who maintain a strong, positive connection with the public. This approach naturally leads to fewer people being seen at major events, which can sometimes be misunderstood as exclusion. What makes William's approach different is how direct it feels, even without public announcements. Instead of explaining decisions openly, the changes are seen through actions. Invitations appear more selective, appearances more controlled, and the overall tone more careful. This quiet style of leadership can be powerful because it avoids open conflict while still guiding the direction of the family. It also shows a shift from tradition, where things were often handled in a more inclusive and less restrictive way.
So we wanted to break it down and try and work out how could we add something that was going to create action, create positivity,
0, 30, 0, 37. At the same time, this has created a subtle contrast between William and King Charles. Charles has spent many years building relationships and maintaining a sense of unity within the family, even during difficult times. His style is often seen as patient and understanding, shaped by experience and long-standing connections. William, on the other hand, seems more focused on the future and less tied to the past. He appears willing to make tough choices if he believes they will strengthen the monarchy in the long run. This difference does not mean there is a direct clash, but it does show that two generations are looking at the same situation from different angles. This generational shift is important because it highlights how the monarchy is evolving. William grew up in a time when media attention became more intense and personal. He has seen how quickly public opinion can change and how damaging certain situations can be if not handled carefully. These experiences seem to have shaped his thinking, making him more cautious and more focused on long-term reputation. His decisions reflect a desire to avoid repeating past mistakes and to build a stronger, more stable image for the future. One of the key influences behind this careful approach is the lasting impact of past controversies, especially those connected to Prince Andrew. That situation showed how quickly public trust can be shaken and how difficult it can be to rebuild once it is lost. For William, this may have served as a clear lesson. It is not just about handling problems after they happen, but about preventing them in the first place. This is why his strategy appears to focus on reducing any possible risks before they can grow into larger issues. As a result, the idea of a smaller royal circle has become more noticeable. Fewer people are representing the monarchy at major events, and there is a stronger focus on those who are actively working and contributing. This creates a clearer image for the public, making it easier to understand who is playing a key role. However, it also means that others, even if they are still part of the family, may not be seen as often. This can lead to misunderstandings, especially when people expect to see a larger group at important occasions. Another factor that adds to this situation is the way information spreads today. Social media plays a huge role in shaping public perception, often turning small details into major stories. When people notice patterns, such as repeated absences or changes in attendance, they begin to form their own explanations. These explanations can sometimes go far beyond the actual facts, creating a sense of drama that may not fully reflect reality. This is one of the reasons why William's quiet approach can be both effective and confusing at the same time. Emotionally, this period feels like a turning point. There is a sense that the monarchy is standing between two eras, one that is rooted in tradition and another that is shaped by modern expectations. William seems to be leaning strongly toward the future, even if it means making decisions that feel uncomfortable in the present. His focus on control and careful planning suggests that he is already thinking about the kind of king he wants to be, even before that moment officially arrives. Despite all these changes, it is important to remember that the monarchy is still functioning as a unified institution. Public appearances continue, duties are carried out, and the core structure remains stable. The adjustments happening now are more about refinement than disruption. They are shaping how the monarchy presents itself, rather than breaking it apart. This distinction is important because it shows that what may look like chaos from the outside is actually a controlled process on the inside. Still, the questions have not disappeared. If William's influence is growing this steadily without formal acknowledgement, it raises curiosity about how much power he truly holds behind the scenes. It also leads to deeper thoughts about what will happen as this influence continues to expand. And just as this quiet shift becomes more noticeable, another layer of the story begins to emerge. If these decisions are partly shaped by past scandals and the need to protect the monarchy's image, then how much of the current situation is really about one individual whose past actions continue to affect the entire family? Keep watching to find out. Why the family is divided. While the headlines may try to link everything to power struggles or family divisions, the truth points strongly in one direction. Much of the tension surrounding the royal family today can be traced back to the long shadow left by Prince Andrew's past controversies. His situation did not just affect him alone. It created a ripple that touched the entire institution and forced everyone to rethink how the monarchy should present itself.
There is no good time to talk about Mr. Epstein and all things.
For a long time, the royal family has relied on tradition, unity, and public trust to maintain its place in society. But when Andrew's issues became widely known, that trust was shaken in a way that could not be easily repaired. The attention was intense, the criticism was strong, and the pressure on the palace grew quickly. It was no longer just about one person's actions. It became a question of how the entire family would respond and protect its reputation moving forward. Over time, clear steps were taken to create distance. Andrew stepped away from public duties, and his role within the royal structure became extremely limited. He was no longer seen at major events in the same way as before, and his presence in public life was greatly reduced. These changes were not sudden or dramatic announcements, but they were firm and consistent. The message behind them was simple. The monarchy needed to move forward without being constantly tied to a situation that had caused so much damage.
I'm delighted to be able to see you today.
As you say, all of this goes...
This is where the current situation begins to make more sense. The careful control over who appears at events, the quiet absence of certain figures, and the overall shift toward a smaller public-facing group all connect back to this moment. It created a kind of awareness within the royal family that some risks are simply too great to ignore. Since then, every decision has been made with that lesson in mind. Prince William, in particular, seems to have taken this lesson very seriously. From what can be observed, he appears determined to ensure that nothing similar happens again. His approach feels firm because it is shaped by experience. He has seen how quickly public opinion can turn, and how difficult it is to rebuild once trust is lost. This understanding likely explains why he supports keeping a tighter circle of visible royals, people who can represent the monarchy without bringing added complications. At the same time, this situation has not been easy on a personal level. The royal family is still a family, with real relationships and emotional connections. Creating distance from one member, no matter the reason, is never simple. It requires balancing personal feelings with public responsibility, and that balance can be painful. While the public sees the outcome in terms of appearances and absences, the reality behind the scenes is likely much more complex. This complexity is one reason why the palace avoids explaining every detail. Speaking openly about internal decisions could create even more tension or draw attention back to issues they are trying to move past. So instead, they allow actions to speak quietly. Over time, the pattern becomes clear, even without direct statements. It is a careful way of handling a difficult situation while keeping the focus on the future. Another important part of this story is how the public reacts to it. People naturally look for clear answers and simple explanations, especially when something feels unusual. When they notice that certain individuals are no longer present at major events, it is easy to assume conflict or punishment. The idea of someone being pushed out fits into a familiar narrative, making it easier to believe. But in reality, the situation is less about sudden decisions and more about a long process of adjustment. This process has gradually changed how the monarchy operates. It has become more focused, more controlled, and more aware of how every action is perceived. The goal is not just to avoid problems, but to build a stronger and more stable image for the future. This is why even small decisions, like who attends an event, carry so much importance. Each choice is part of a bigger picture that is being carefully shaped over time. Through all of this, one thing remains clear. The influence of past events has not faded. It continues to guide present decisions and will likely shape the future as well. The monarchy is learning from its experiences, using them to create a more careful and deliberate approach. This may not always be visible in obvious ways, but it can be felt in the patterns that are slowly emerging. And as this deeper layer becomes clearer, it brings a new understanding to everything that has happened so far. What once looked like sudden change now feels like a response to something much bigger, something that has been building for years. It also raises an even more interesting thought. If one past event has had such a lasting impact on the entire royal family, then what does that say about the current stability of the monarchy, and how far is it willing to go to protect itself from future risks? Camilla's position. While so much attention has been placed on tension, absence, and quiet changes, one part of the story remains steady and often overlooked. Through all the noise and speculation, Queen Camilla's position has not shown any real sign of weakness. She continues to stand beside King Charles, carrying out her role in a calm and consistent way that reflects stability at the very center of the monarchy. Despite the rumors suggesting division or exclusion, there has been no clear or reliable indication that she has lost influence or been pushed aside. In fact, her presence at major royal events continues to show that she remains a key figure within the family. She attends important gatherings, supports official duties, and maintains a visible role that aligns with her responsibilities as queen. This steady involvement quietly counters many of the dramatic claims circulating online. What makes this even more interesting is how her role fits into the broader changes happening around her. While other parts of the royal family are being adjusted, reduced, or carefully managed, Camilla's position appears protected and unchanged. This suggests that whatever decisions are being made behind the scenes are not aimed at disrupting the core leadership. Instead, the focus seems to be on strengthening the monarchy while keeping its foundation intact. Her journey to this position has not always been simple, and public opinion about her has shifted over time. Yet, in recent years, she has managed to build a more accepted and respected image. This likely plays a part in why her role remains secure, even during a period of quiet transformation. Stability, especially during uncertain moments, becomes incredibly valuable. At the same time, her continued presence also sends a message. It shows that the monarchy is not in disarray. Even if changes are happening beneath the surface, the structure still holds, and the key figures remain in place, guiding the institution forward. But this sense of calm raises an interesting question. If Queen Camilla's position is clearly secure and unchanged, then why do stories continue to grow around the idea of her family being pushed out? and what is really driving that narrative? Stay with us to find out. A monarchy changing shape before our eyes. When people hear words like chaos, it creates a picture of confusion, conflict, and things falling apart. But when you look closely at what is really happening inside the royal family, the situation feels very different. Instead of disorder, there is a quiet and careful reshaping taking place, one that is slow, controlled, and very intentional. What may appear messy from the outside is actually a structured effort to guide the monarchy into a new phase. Over time, the royal family has started to reduce the number of people who represent it publicly. The focus is now on a smaller group of senior working royals who carry out official duties and maintain a strong connection with the public. This shift is not about pushing others away harshly, but about creating a clearer and more focused image that people can easily understand and trust. This approach reflects a deeper awareness of how much the world has changed. Today, every action is seen, shared, and judged almost instantly. A single appearance can spark praise or criticism within minutes. Because of this, the monarchy can no longer rely only on tradition. It has to adapt, choosing carefully who stands in the spotlight and what message is being sent. This is where the idea of control comes in, not as something negative, but as a way to protect and strengthen the institution. Prince William's growing influence fits naturally into this transformation. His actions suggest that he is already thinking ahead, shaping the monarchy in a way that matches modern expectations. He appears to support a system where fewer people carry more responsibility, ensuring that those who represent the crown do so with clarity and purpose. This creates a sense of direction, even if it also brings difficult choices along the way. Rather than chaos, what we are seeing is a transition. The monarchy is moving from a larger, more traditional family structure into a more streamlined and carefully managed one. It is becoming less about numbers and more about impact. Each appearance, each role, and each decision is being weighed more seriously than before. This moment also offers a glimpse into the future. If these patterns continue, the monarchy under William could look very different from what people have known in the past. It may be smaller, more focused, and more directly connected to public expectations. The goal seems to be building something that can last not just by holding on to history, but by adjusting to the present. And this is what makes the situation so fascinating. It is not a story of collapse, but of change happening in real time. The real question now is not whether the monarchy is in trouble, but how far this transformation will go, and what it will ultimately become when William fully steps into power. So what does all this really show about power, image, and the quiet decisions shaping the royal family today? How much control is necessary to protect a legacy that spans generations? If this gave you a clearer view inside the palace, like this video and subscribe for more untold royal stories.